Cleveland for a panel that's going to take place in Cleveland. Be sure to watch Hannity. It's on Fox News. That's 9 o'clock our time, 10 o'clock for those of you throughout the fruited plains of the great nation of America. Eastern. It's 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. And, of course, you can decipher that wherever you may be. Americans were injured. 29 Americans were injured by a blast that occurred in New York City, down in the Chelsea district that's on the west side. Used to be very, your beatniks, your beboppers used to inhabit that area of New York City. It's still a very trendy place to go. Jane and I were just there about 2 months ago. 29 Americans injured by a bomb blast. Now listen to this. Listen to this statistic. 63 Americans have been killed on our soil this year by radical Islamic terrorists. Do you hear me? 63 of us, Americans, have been killed on American soil within the boundaries of the continental United States this year by radical Islamic terrorists. Now, I want to ask you something. If 63 Islamic believers had been killed by Americans on our soil, by, let's say, Christians or Jews or whoever in this country this year, there would be an outcry and an outrage that has never been heard in this country before. And see, that's why I don't understand why there's not an outcry and an outrage against radical Islam from our elected officials, and particularly from the White House. It gives off a certain weakness toward the way they feel about us, the people who put them in office. 63 of us have been killed by radical Islamists. Oh, we're talking about going to San Bernardino, Orlando, you name it. The numbers have racked up. And there has not been an outcry over stopping this on our soil. And I am telling you that weakness invites aggression. Yes, it does. I'm going to tell you, Donald Trump can be a beneficiary of this if he plays his cards right, if he handles himself right, and if he doesn't just go off the rails. And I'm beginning to see something, and I think a lot of people have seen this in him. At least he's demonstrated this throughout his life. Winners win. Even when the odds seem against them, somehow the good Lord, fate, whatever you may want to call it, I'll call it the good Lord, seems to turn things in the favor of a winner. They win, make even things that appear to be bad turn out to be good. 2 weeks ago, it looked like it was pretty bad for him. And then he began to gain in the polls. And now, unfortunately, this happens, and his message against the type of immigration that is failing our nation is actually resonating in the midst of this tragedy that's happened both in St. Cloud and in New York City. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when I come back, because anyone, as Trump said today in Florida, who cannot name our enemy should not, cannot lead our country. I haven't heard Hillary Clinton really name this enemy yet. Neither has the president. And that type of weakness, I believe, has invited this type of radicalization and aggression. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show, and don't go anywhere. It's going to be one you want to hang around for. In fact, I'll take a few of your calls right now. 320-5335, 320-5335 is the number to call. Don't go anywhere. CL. Back with you, broadcasting from the jeweled cities of the Arklatex, Shreveport, and Bossier, streaming live throughout the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known. I want to remind all of you that understanding the threat, the roots, and reach of Islamic terrorism, featuring Stephanie Jason, National Security Policy Surrogate for Donald Trump, and Admiral Charles Kubik, retired National Security Policy Advisor to Donald Trump, will be here in Shreveport. Tuesday, September 27th, at the Centenary College. I think that's Hurley Music Hall. 6 to 8. Meet and greet from 6 to 6:30. And it's in the Anderson Auditorium on Centenary, the oldest college west of the Mississippi, Centenary College. That's where that will be held. I'll be announcing this throughout the show. Take your calls at 320-5335, 320-5335. Jack, thank you for calling. Thank you for listening. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great, Jack. What's going on, man?
I just had a question for you.
Yeah.
I think by all measures, the Democrats want Hillary out of the spotlight. Agreed?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They,
You know what, Jack? You very well could be right. She seems to be fading. To all of you out there, if you just notice it, and when you get a chance to get a look at her, she seems to be fading. And I had said this, almost a year ago, maybe 6 months ago.
Brenda.
I had said this about 6 months ago, that Trump did not seem to want to be president, but I was wrong. He does want to be president, and I have a feeling he's going to be president. Now it appears to me that Hillary may not want to be president, and so because especially what's going on. Go ahead, Jack.
what Hillary is facing is truth, and you can't undo truth. But that's not my question.
What's your question?
My question is, Loretta Lynch, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton have an ace in the hole. Actually, they got a pair of aces in the hole, and that's the investigations of the officers in Minnesota and in Baton Rouge for the incidents involving deadly force.
So you think they're going to bring up the police incidents and they're going to play the race card really big on that type of thing? Thus, they're going to mobilize the minority vote. Is that what you're saying?
That switch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's the card that they've been playing for ages. And Jack, thank you so much for your call. You're absolutely right. Thank you for calling, man. On the line with me now is Brenda. Brenda, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Hey, CL, I just want everyone to know that we have a meeting that's open to the public on September the 27th. You just mentioned it, and it's going to be at Centenary College, and two great people who are so qualified, Rear Admiral Charles Kubik and Stephanie Jason, will be coming to speak on understanding the threat of radical Islamic terror and the roots and of terrorism and how to follow the money. You
Absolutely.
will not believe what these people have to share with us. And
it's going to be good, folks. I'm telling you, it's going to be good. It's called Understanding the Threat, the Roots, and the Reach of Islamic Terrorism. And right now, you know what, Brenda? Even though it's a tragic situation that's happened in New York and, of course, in St. Cloud, Minnesota, but your event has taken on a very, very timely face as far as the timing is concerned. And, folks, listen, you need to turn out. It's going to be Tuesday, September 27th, 6 to 8 p.m. There's a meet and greet from 6 to 6:30 at the Centenary College. That is the Anderson Auditorium at Centenary College, Hurley Music Hall. You know Centenary is the oldest college west of the Mississippi. You need to go on out there and be there with these good folks that I know personally. Brenda, what else you got going on?
well, we're just so excited about this. You know, we can't thank our first defenders enough for doing the job that they do. I just wish the people in Washington, D.C. were doing their job. It seems as though we have more attacks like we had this weekend. This really bothers me. I think the American people are getting tired of it, and we want to see our administration, our elected officials, be as concerned as we are. Instead of pulling back on sanctuary cities and immigrants, we seem to be opening the door for this kind of thing, and there's a great concern, and the two speakers that we have lined up will go into this, and you will not believe how our monies are being spent for terrorism. I looked at the PowerPoint today, and it is scary what is going on. Everyone should come and hear what these two qualified consultants and engineers have to say about this topic.
We'll be announcing it throughout the rest of the week for you, Brenda, and I also want to give all of you a great shout out, especially my good friends George and Jimmy Brazell. I want to wish George Brazell much speedy recovery and happiness and health. And Brenda, you and I both Fair Park Indians, and we we did all right for ourselves. I was talking to one of our good buddies, Tim Brando, last week, and we're real proud. For Indians, we didn't do too bad, did we? For Fair Park Indians, we didn't do too bad, did we?
That's right. I'll tell you what, our blood is rich and our roots run deep.
Absolutely. God bless and keep you, Brenda. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, folks, you get on out there. That's the 27th of September. Get on out there. And that's Tuesday, next Tuesday. And see what you need to hear about the roots, the reach of Islamic terrorism and how it has spread through the bloodstream. Evidently, I'm going to talk about that in the next segment. Through the bloodstream of America. And coming up after the top of the hour will be my good friend Jonathan Gilliam. He'll be here with me, former Navy SEAL, and he is FBI and also a federal marshal, air marshal. Going to talk to us, give us his take on what's going on and why. When we return, I'm CL. Don't go anywhere.
We don't have no plastic LA friends, ain't on the edge of no popular trend, ain't never seen the inside of that magazine GQ.
CL. It's Monday in the jeweled cities, Shreveport and Bossier, streaming live. Hey, listen, download the free CL Bryant Show app onto your iPhone or your Android device. Listen to us anywhere. Show is really beginning to take off. We'll be broadcasting out of Wilmington, North Carolina here very soon, and we're looking at Pittsburgh, Phoenix, and Denver. Those are the other cities. But here very soon, within the next few weeks, we'll be coming to the folks in the East Coast, on the East Coast there in North Carolina. And I certainly want to take you along with me, as you know I will, because I am your native son, C.L. Bryant, here on the show. I want to thank all of you who've been with me for all this time, especially Holmes Honda, European, Bailey's Fine Jewelers, Tiger Axle, Milam Cars, Signature Cleaning, Chevyland, Subway, and Yoakum Toyota. These folks, they started this journey with me. That's all I had. And they're still with me. And I hope you caught my appearance on Hannity the other night, and I believe that I'm going to be on there on Wednesday night as well, so be sure to tune in. Coming up, Jonathan Gillum, former Navy SEAL, and now FBI agent, will be on with me here after the top of the hour. Now, listen. If you were tuned in on Friday night, you heard me mention this, that your school systems send home to you a programmed product. You call them your children, and not all of them are going to turn out like these guys, especially this kid up in St. Cloud. I'm not going to call his name because I have a feeling that's part of the problem, is that these kids are looking to be memorialized even in death. So the guy who went nuts in the mall and started slashing people with a knife was an honor roll student. He was an honors student, good student. And he had become a security guard. In fact, he had on his uniform when he started his attack on other Americans there in the shopping mall. If you recall, I told you that there were sleeper cells, and sometimes they're inside your own homes. Are you hearing me? The kid, the guy, 28-year-old guy up there in New York City, you know what they said of him. I said this what they always say Friday night. I said this is what they always say about these people who go nuts. I never would have thought that it would have been him. He was the friendly guy at the chicken restaurant, Chicken Shack, wherever it was. Parents owned it. They lived above it. One observer that they interviewed said that, hey, he was as American as you and me. That's what they said about him. So nobody expected him to go nuts and start blowing stuff up, but they did notice one thing. He had made 2 trips to Afghanistan and the area and the region, and when he came back, he seemed different. Maybe he became radicalized over there and brought it back here. I don't know if his parents knew it or not. They had some run-ins because, they were feeling as though they were ostracized in some ways and being picked on in some ways because they were Muslim. But the neighbors were complaining about noise and them keeping all types of hours, and they had a little bit of tiff going on right there. I don't know if that was a part of it or not. I don't think so. But I do want to say this, and I do want to trumpet what Trump said today in Florida. He said that we must defeat radical Islamic terrorism. We have defeated Nazism. We defeated communism. We defeated fascism. Now we must defeat radical Islamic terrorism. I'm all in with that. And I'm also all in with this statement. You can come to America legally and become a citizen of this country, but if you're coming here and you don't want to love the country that you're coming to, you keep your behind out of here. And if you're here and you don't love the opportunities that this country can afford you, and if you don't love America, and I'm speaking to every one of those NFL players out there who disrespect the people who have given their blood, sweat to defend that flag that we honor at a national football game. If you can't do that, you need to get out too. And National Football League, I think you actually give cover. Yes, I'm calling you out. I think you give cover to people who want to hurt Americans when you tolerate that type of disrespect for the land that gives you your living. When you allow these pampered, overpaid athletes to get away with what you're letting them get away with without bringing down the hammer. Free speech, no problem with the free speech, but you're being played to play football, so shut up and play. And have your say any other time other than when the national anthem is being played. Yeah, that's the way I feel. That is the way I feel. Because it has come down to a time where yes, it is us against them. Anyone who's against America is against me, as far as I'm concerned. Why? Because I am an American. Bought, paid for by my ancestors, and I'm proud of it. I'm CL. I'll be right back. CL, back with you on this Monday here in the Arklatex, broadcasting throughout the fruited plains of the greatest nation on the face of the earth, the greatest success story the world has ever known, and that is America. As I promised you, my good friend, our friend of the show, Navy SEAL, FBI Special Agent, Federal Air Marshal, CNN contributor, and Sirius XM radio host, and a native son of the great nation of America, is on with me now, none other than Jonathan Gilliam. Thank you so much for being there for me, good buddy.
Man, what an intro.
Hey, you deserve every bit of it, and thank you for your service to our country. Jonathan, we got a lot of radicalization and recruiting going on by the enemy, and yet the president and Hillary Clinton is not calling them by their name. Donald Trump did, though. Do you think he's got a good shot of riding this wave all the way into the White House?
Well, I'll tell you a couple things on that comment that you just made there. For one, this is a wave. This isn't something that's going to go away. I hope the American people are getting this by now. There is, I know this is going to be breaking news to a lot of people, a credible and specific threat to the United States. It's ongoing. We don't have to wait for them to call it in or for some communist mayor like de Blasio to go ahead and decide it's terrorism. It's a known and credible threat all the time to this country. And the other thing is that, Donald Trump is you can tell that he's in tune with reality and less in tune with a narrative, which is what Hillary Clinton is all about. And I just wish, one thing I do wish is that, remember, I always say that I'll support, if I feel, if I put my heart behind a leader, I'm going to support him, but I'll also be critical. And I just wish Mr. Trump and the rest of his campaign would start calling this fundamental Islam, because that's what it is. It's not radical. It's fundamental Islam.
Yeah, and you know what? That's absolutely true. No doubt about it. The fundamentals, the basis of that religion is to kill the infidel. Now, people will argue against that, and they'll say that you and I are loonies for saying it and that we're maybe haters or whatever. But when you look at the fundamentals of it, it is that. Listen, any Christian who goes into a club or something killing folks in the name of Jesus has lost his mind, because that is not the fundamentals of Christianity. But that is the fundamentals of that religion. It really is. Now you and I have just probably may have crossed an invisible line that I don't know anything about it, but guess what, Jonathan? I know you and I don't care.
Well, here's what I care about, CL, and it's the same with you. I care about the truth, and the American people need to know the truth, and Muslims need to know the truth. I mean, I've even had Muslims try to debate this with me, and I tell them, go and look at your religious text, look at your history, and look at the history of Christianity. Of course, they always bring up the Crusades with the Christians, but the reality is that was a political movement that was using Christianity and lying, saying it was Christianity. It's really a political movement, but what Muhammad did was a religious, military, and political movement, and that's the same thing. That's why people go over and they say they're not they're not the same when they come back, because they go over and they get fundamentalized, and then they come back, and this is what they believe.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. You know, Jonathan, the one thing that these terrorists have in common is not that they're Muslims, though, but that these two guys I'm talking about, they lived among us. And folks, that is probably, for me, the greatest concern that I have, because there's one guy up there in St. Cloud, Jonathan, he went into a mall where your family, my children, my wife could have been shopping, and started doing what he did. The thing that they have in common is the fact that they lived among us and were accepted among us, Jonathan. That how are we going to identify? How do we fight this?
You know, you're asking the right question, and I'll even go a step further and say, along those lines, there's a whole other thing that they have in common. All these people have in common that they live in the Muslim community. They wide open. They're going to mosques and worshiping. They have families. Almost all of them are married and have kids and relatives. And why aren't those people picking up on this? Is it because they don't see it, or because they don't want to report it, or is it because this is a common discussion that they have in the Muslim community? Because when I see CARE and these other groups coming out and giving press conferences, I don't see them saying we're standing up and we're no longer going to allow these people to exist in our community, and when we find out, we're going to turn them over. You don't hear that.
No.
You just hear, don't blame us, don't come down on us. And your question you asked is the right question. How do we stop it? Let me tell you, the number one thing that could happen, the number one tool, technique, tactic, whatever you want to call it, is if Muslims themselves started policing their own community properly.
You know, you're absolutely right. And also, Trump said this today down in Florida. He said if they know that justice is going to be just but harsh, and maybe that's not it, because listen, they've stopped waterboarding folks. We caught this guy alive. We captured this guy alive. Now, Jonathan, you know that I'm all for getting the information that's necessary by whatever means that is necessary from enemies who want to kill Americans. I'm all for it. But now I'm wondering just how they're going to play patty cake with this guy, and we need some answers here, because he's not just by himself. Would you think?
No, I would agree with you, and that's where a skilled investigator is going to come in, because you don't want to just go in and destroy this guy. You know, people think that we're going to go and twist fingers until they come off, or rip fingernails off. You know, they need to go in and they need to convince this guy that what he did was a mistake, and that he should tell them. And so all the pieces and bits. That's the way investigation works. It's like puzzles that you have multiple boxes of puzzles. You get a piece, and all of a sudden you may start to see a picture of all these different pieces of the puzzle. If he can tell them, where did he get this explosive material? Who trained him how to do this? Who were the two guys that, which I don't believe for a second they were random guys that walked up and took this device out of a duffel bag and put it in a trash can and walked away with a duffel bag. No, I don't care how nefarious you are. You open up a duffel bag in this day and age, and there's a device that has a phone hooked to it with wires, you're going to walk off and say, I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah.
Even in New York.
Yeah.
So they can get a lot of information out of this guy that can lead to the bigger and broader picture, and that's the thing we have to realize about terrorism. It's not like being a street cop where you see somebody robbing a bank, you take them down, and that's where the case ends. This is something that's more like a gang case or an organized crime case. It's big. The spider web sprawls globally. So when these things happen, if you can get them alive and then you can continue to work them, then you'll get a lot of information. But I don't think the guy should ever get out of jail in his natural-born life.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And the only drawback with that is we got to feed him. But when we come back, I'm going to be with Jonathan Gilliam, who is Navy SEAL, FBI agent, and CNN contributor. And I want to ask him about this statement that Josh Earnest made today about a battle of narratives. Really, Josh? We'll talk with Jonathan when I return. Don't go anywhere. I'm CL.
Night falls and I'm alone. Skin, yeah, chill me to the bone. You turn.
CL. On a Monday, it's a beautiful day in the Arklatex, on with Jonathan T. Gilliam, who is a Navy SEAL, FBI Special Agent, Federal Air Marshal, and a Sirius XM radio host in his own right. Jonathan, give us your website and your Twitter handle.
Twitter is jgilliam_seal, and my website is www.jonathantgilliam.com. And then I also want to say every night at 9 o'clock I do a Facebook Live show called The Experts, and they can go to facebook.com/Jonathan T. Gilliam and get more insight of all this stuff.
Be sure to go there and find out what he is all about, and I'm guaranteeing you that you will be intrigued. Jonathan, today Josh Earnest labeled what happened as a battle of narratives. What in the world is he talking about? Or why would he say something like that?
Question there again, CL?
He said that this was a battle of narratives. Josh Earnest, the White House spokesman, said that what was happening here in this country is a battle of narratives. So to me, it seems as though he does not understand that this is a battle not just of narratives. This isn't a battle of ideology. This is a battle that is life and death. 63 Americans, Jonathan, have been killed by radical Islamists in this country, on our soil, this year. If you think if 63 Ethiopians, let's say, had been killed in America by Americans, there'd be an outcry over that. This is more than a battle of narratives. These people are killing us. What do you say?
You know, well, I agree with you, but here's the interesting thing about when people like Josh Earnest say something like that. It's like when an alcoholic or somebody who has a drug addiction has a moment of clarity. And what he's saying is not necessarily fact of what's going on, is the truth of what the problem is, but he's being clear and honest with what the reality is of the biggest national security threat in this country, which is the battle of narratives, and how they solve this problem. They're not really concerned with the Islamic terrorism problem. They're only concerned with winning the battle of narratives. So, you know, in a moment of clarity, he actually gave people a realistic look at what's important to the White House, and that's not defending our country from bad guys. It's winning the war on narrative.
What do you have to say to these news pundits on Fox, CNN, and others who are saying that this is something, these terrorist actions that we're witnessing and experiencing are something that we need to get used to? Jonathan, what would you say to that?
You know, CL, I'm glad you asked me a question, because what I'd say to that, if I had them all in front of me, I'd tell them all to shut their mouths, because I would say the majority of them have no experience. They're just regurgitators of information that they hear, which has to do with that narrative. The other portion of them have sold. They may have had experience, but they sold off to that narrative. And then the rest of them, that very few small percentages left, such as myself, that have the experience, understanding, and the knowledge, and they want to share with people the truth, we're not even used.
Yeah.
We're actually ostracized because of it. So those people they are a huge national security threat. They injure the national security and the safety of the American people because they misinform them. I mean, just a minute ago, CNN saying that the guy, they're talking to one of his neighbors, the guy in Elizabeth, New Jersey, saying that he was just a quiet guy, and Fox is reporting that he's a deadbeat dad with a lot of problems. I mean, it's a battle in narrative, but not in the case of what the real problem is, but what media and the politicians are doing.
So you think that they were actually trying to push the narrative forth that maybe because he had financial problems as a deadbeat dad, maybe that's what pushed him over? Are they going to give this guy some sympathy? Is that what you think they're trying to do?
No, I think Fox is playing to the fact that most law-abiding smart citizens are saying this guy's a bad guy, and so they're going to play to that. And then the liberal side is going to say he's probably just misguided and had a bad family life, and so he's probably not that bad of a guy. So that's the narrative that they're going to go with. Neither one of them have pointed out the fact that he was fundamentalized and that he specifically was targeting America, and that we should be looking at the family, at the friends, and the mosque that this person associated with.
I'm interested in his family as a whole because they were business owners. They owned the first. This is so strange to me, Jonathan. They owned the first American fried chicken there in their city in New Jersey. That's what it was called, First American Fried Chicken. Everybody said this guy was the friendly guy that worked there at the chicken place, and I heard one guy say that he was just as American as you and I. No, he wasn't. And so it makes me think about who else in that family may actually be cooking something that we don't want to eat. I mean, hey, man, this is something that's really bad. They're business owners.
We have to stop looking at these people as some uneducated guerrilla group. The reality is we should look at them no different than we look at the Russians or any other highly trained intel group. These foreign operatives have been trained by Iran and other different Islamic fundamentalist groups that hate America. And so, like, this guy, he may be a homegrown operative, but he's an operative nonetheless, and the traits and the tactics and techniques and procedures are being passed along to people like this. So, it's not a surprise to me that they own this place that says America this or America that, because that's the way operatives hide. They hide in plain sight. They always say if you want to hide from the police, sell pencils in the police parking lot, and that's what they do.
Absolutely, man. Give your website again and your Twitter handle and how we get a hold of you on that Facebook show that you have on.
It's JGilliam_seal on Twitter. They can go to my website, JonathanTGilliam.com. And on Facebook, it's Facebook.com/Jonathan T. Gilliam. Every night at 9 o'clock, give or take a few minutes, I'll be on giving my take on this stuff.
Well, listen, brother, I certainly do appreciate your service to our country. I appreciate your friendship to me and the show. And God bless and keep you. Have you on real soon as things begin to shake out toward the presidential election. How you think Trump is going to stay on par on the debate stage, Jonathan?
Well, I think if he comes out there and continues to do what he's doing, he's going to excel. And if Hillary comes out there and does what she does, it's going to be a basket full of lies, and I think he'll do just fine.
I certainly hope so. God bless and keep you, man. Thanks so much for calling.
You got it, CL. Take care.
Yeah, folks, that is my good friend, Jonathan T. Gilliam, right up the road here in Arkansas. He's an Arkansas boy, native son here of the great nation of America, and really glad to get his input on a lot of things. Yeah, they were business owners of the first American fried chicken. His mama and dad, they live right above it. Everybody would tell you that he was the nice guy, the friendly guy that worked at the chicken place. I'm CL. We'll talk more about it when I come back.
Where you going with that gun in your hand? Hey, Joe. I said, where you going with that gun in your hand?
CL, back with you here, broadcasting from the jewel cities of the Arklatex. I want to welcome aboard all of our friends in southern Arkansas and East Texas and throughout the fruited plains of America. I want to get back to this thought. I'll take your calls. 320-5335, 320-5335 is the number to call. Josh Earnest, the White House spokesperson for the president, said this earlier. And he said this. I want to speak to this. When describing these radical Islamic terrorists that first in St. Cloud, Minnesota, that started stabbing people in the mall there in St. Cloud, a quiet city, by the way. I've been through St. Cloud, been to St. Cloud. And then when we talk about what took place in New Jersey and New York, in Manhattan, on west side of New Manhattan, he wanted to describe that as a battle of narratives. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is not a battle of narratives. And it should never be in our nation. Oh, we can debate the Constitution and talk about, what that means, the pros, cons, and all of that. But we can do that. We can know that peacefully. It should never start a revolution. Okay? And it should never cause people to start stabbing folks and blowing things up when we talk about that. We should never do that. Because it is established to create a more perfect union. That's what that's about. So that is the narrative of America, and that is the one that Americans assimilate to. When you become an American, you assimilate to the narrative of becoming a more perfect union. That's why I am not still a slave. Do you understand? In this country. Because in the fullness of its genius, as far as the Constitution of this country is concerned, and the founding document of our Declaration of Independence, in the fullness of its genius, it offers freedom, and America is that way. It's a republic that brought about liberty and freedom in a way that no other nation ever on the face of the earth could have brought about. It's biblical almost in the way it is, because it sets captives free. Do you hear me? That's America, and that's one of the tenets, the founding tenets, is that we are endowed by our Creator. America has been the one country on the face of the earth that has set captives free. And it still does. And that's why people want to come here and take advantage of this nation. But it's not a battle. There should never be a battle between two narratives. Because once you start that type of thing, you are then wanting to have pluralism. Pluralism's good when we're talking about food and languages and cuisine, that type of thing. But when we talk about the republic, which is America, it's a pluralistic society. Yes, it is, because it has different foods, cuisines, and cultures, all under the e pluribus unum of a more perfect union. Are you hearing me? You see, all of that is to work toward a more perfect union, not to overthrow the union, but to have a more perfect union. And so, with the radical Islamists and the people who are becoming radicalized, and they're of all stripes, they're red, yellow, black, white, but hey, listen, they're Muslim by and large. By and large, 99.9% of them are Muslims. Okay? That's just the fact. And so, let's just call that what it is, and let's just say this. When they attack America and when they radicalize people against America. What they're saying is the firefighter has become the arsonist, or is the arsonist. They're saying that America, the person who has put out the fires of fascism, the country that has put out the fires of communism, the fire of Nazism, the country that has arrested tyrants and put them at bay, set them at bay. They're saying that we ourselves, we're the ones who put out those fires. They're saying that we're the true arsonist. Are there bad firefighters? Oh, yeah. But is firefighting good? Yeah. So, in looking at our nation, you have to separate the individuals that sometimes do go awry from the ideal of creating a more perfect union. Not a perfect union. That word "more" means something in that statement. We're trying to create a more perfect union. One that every day, every year, every century that rolls around, it should be better. The first century of America wasn't as good as the second century of America. We have been a work in progress. An evolution is what we have been here in this country. And we have done all to become a more perfect union. We're still working on it. And I have a feeling that in order for us to be even better, I think we need to name the enemies of that more perfect union. And right now, the enemy of the more perfect union is, in fact, radical Islam. At one time, it was Nazism. It was fascism. It was communism. But now, the enemy of the more perfect union is radical Islam. We'll talk more when I return. CL. Back live with you today on this Monday, and I'm really glad that you all came along with me for the ride. I want to thank Bretches Insurance, Grub Burger, Air Innovations, Mercer Tech, Red Wing Shoes, and Brown Dodge for sponsoring this segment of the CL Bryant Show, along with my good friend Josie Wright at Century 21 Elite, that's what she is, and Brown Dodge in Mendon. Well, folks, on Wednesday night, it's official, on Wednesday night, I will be on with my good buddy, Sean Hannity. We won't be in New York. We'll be coming from Cleveland. This will be a very special event that I've been invited to. I'm going to take you along with me, no doubt about it. Your native son will be there representing, and I'll tell you more about it on tomorrow. I'll be headed up there to Cleveland, be on the Sean Hannity Show on Wednesday night. Hope you caught Sean on Friday night. I was on with him then. There's a lot for us to talk about. There's a lot of things that we must discuss as we go along. There's a lot of things we must discuss. This radical Islamic attack on American citizens is more than a rabbit trail, but it is a distraction. There's no question about it. Some even have said that maybe this helps Trump. Some have said maybe it helps Hillary. I don't know who it helps. I just know that Americans, we cannot shy away from what's going on here. We must be steadfast. We must be unmovable. And we must always abound in the strength and the faith of who we are as Americans. We cannot run away from that. Now, if you care about this nation, if you care about this country, then we have to look at the entire package. And if you care about the land that we have, then you can't take offense when I say things like, if you don't love it, talking about America,
Stephen,
then you can get out. That's the way I feel about it. Now, I very well may have somebody on the line with me now that may not feel that way. I have to have him on because he does speak a different type of narrative than I do from time to time. And that's Socialist Stephen. Socialist Stephen, welcome back to the CL Bryant Show.
CL, oh my God, I don't even know what to say today.
Oh, Stephen, I'm sure you'll find something.
I just want to know what kind of Kool-Aid y'all drinking over there, because I want some.
Kool-Aid? Now, what would make you think that there's Kool-Aid being drank?
The last week, especially Friday, your sermon, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know what to do with myself Friday. I don't know why I listened, CL.
Were you pulling your hair out?
I was pulling my hair out.
And what made you pull your hair out about that? Was it the part that our kids are being radicalized and that Americans had better pay attention to what's going on?
No, that wasn't it. I mean, I understand we're in a political season and you guys want to win. And
Stephen, when? We're being killed in the streets.
All right, before the bombing, it seemed that the new strategy was, okay, let's talk about diversity and unification. I never heard that out of conservative Republicans. So, you know, I was kind of thrilled listening to all of this. But let me ask you a question. So I understand, you're trying to get the message over that diversity can be a good thing and can have strengths as long as we unify. I agree with all that. So you really think Trump is the standard bearer, the torch carrier for unification?
I think he is the standard bearer for unification of American emotions as far as being an American is concerned. Yes, I definitely do.
You mean he can unify people if they hate an enemy?
Listen, The way, listen, I tell you what, we became one of the greatest nations on the face of the earth because we hated Nazism. We hated fascism. We hated communism. We hated that. And we defeated that. And we'll remain the greatest nation on the face of the earth if we can defeat radical Islamization.
We got the World War II dragging our feet, and you know it.
Well, we got through it, and we got through it together.
Okay. Because we're a great nation. We just didn't rush off the wall.
Well, we didn't. We haven't rushed off to war now. This president hadn't rushed us off to war yet. But we would have this. We would have had this over in less than 4 years if we had gone in and taken care of business.
I have to remind you how many Muslims we've killed so far in the last 10 years.
Oh, we've killed a lot of them, but they've listen. George Patton said it. George Patton said it best. A good American doesn't die for his country. He makes the other guy die for his.
Anyway, so you think Trump can really get 270 electoral votes?
I believe he can. I believe if this particular climate continues to exist for the next 49 days, I believe he can.
Between now and November.
And let me tell you this, Stephen. You better hope he can, too, because if Hillary Clinton becomes the next president of the United States, this will continue on your street and your town, our town, the way it's going on in New York and everywhere else. It will not change. We have to change this.
Respectfully disagree.
That's okay. That's okay. You have that right. But guess what? This is what I always say to people who say that they are atheists, Stephen. I know that people have the right to be atheists, but atheists, I am certain, are glad that I'm a Christian.
You're good. You brought that up, and you know I'm not an atheist. You brought that up anyway. You're good. You're
yeah, you're glad. Atheists are glad that there are Christians around.
Okay.
Hey, listen, man. Listen, talk to you soon. Got to go.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, folks, and hey, that type of feeling exists in this country. And even though you may not like the rhetoric, may not like the message of it, but the only thing that's going to bring us back to sanity is to eliminate this particular enemy. We'll still be crazy in our own way, but we won't have them to deal with. I'm CL. We'll be right back.
Sure.
CL. Yes, it's Monday. You made it through the weekend. Hey, how about them Cowboys? I'm really excited about them. But hey, that's the fun part of America these days, and even that is becoming political. On the line with me now is Mike. Mike, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Yes, I'd just like to call. I was listening to your previous caller, and he asked you, do you think that Trump can unify this country? And I say yes, because you know what? I hope for the black community and the white community, we've both been promised by these professional politicians like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Lindsey Graham, Jeb Bush, these stuffed shirts that have never had a job in their life. And they feed off of us and promise both communities the world. We here in Shreveport, we have a black mayor, a black police chief. You know, and he goes, and there's no racial. I feel safe anywhere here in Shreveport. I don't feel any animosity between the races here in Shreveport.
And you know what? There are people who really try to make it that way. But if people, and you know what, Mike, if people are left alone without the agitators, people, I'm talking about red, yellow, black, white, whoever you are, people get along. But if there is an irritant, if there's an agitation, then you can steer that up. And that is what progressive liberalism has done to this nation. You said it very well. And they've been doing it for a long time. Yes, I think Trump can unify it because Americans, if we understand that there are people who do, in fact, hate us because we're Americans, that should be enough to unify us enough if we understand what Americanism is about.
Well, that's absolutely right. And I just hope the folks in the black community will take a second look and at least give the man a chance. Nothing could be any worse than what they're going through now.
I'm going up to Cleveland on Wednesday. I'll be in Cleveland on Wednesday. I'll be on the Hannity Show. Be sure to tune us in on Wednesday night.
Oh, I will.
I will be talking about this on that show. We'll be on there the full hour. And so we'll be talking about this and what the black community has gone through and what they may be facing in the future and how they have been lied to by progressive liberals. And it's time to try something different. That is my message. It's time to try something different.
Well, very good. I look forward to seeing you.
Thank you, Mike, for your call.
Thanks for taking my call.
320-5335, 320-5335 is the number to call. I'll be happy to talk to you. But, folks, I want you to know something, and that is this. I believe that it is time now for us to stop the foolishness, okay? We have an enemy that is just as deadly as Tojo's Japan. Just as deadly as Hitler's Nazi Germany to the American fabric. Vernon, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, friend?
Good evening, Phil. You know, I've called in a few times, and I'll tell you I'm an old-timer. But for the first time in my life, when I'm around black people, and we're getting along, we're talking, which we do, person to person, I now have in the back of my mind, does this person really hate me, and he's just being nice for the hell of it? And I never felt that way now, but I really feel that way. I wonder if they're putting on a face just to put up with.
You know, that is absolutely awesome that you'd bring that up because of this. And I'm going to actually share what you said with me on air on Wednesday night, Vern. I'm going to remember this. In fact, I'm writing it down right now. Let me tell you why. Because just the other day, I was talking to a younger black young man, and he was saying to me, almost verbatim, what you're saying about him. He was saying to me this in this context, Vernon. He was saying, I wonder if my boss really likes me, or if he's just putting on a face because I can do a good job, but he doesn't like me because I'm black. Vernon, do you see what's happening here?
Yes,
You see what's happening?
we're being split and turned on each other. It's just horrible. It kills me that the American people are now at each other's throat over race or religion or something. It's just
the color of the skin. It's the color of the skin, Vernon, and that's the only reason Barack Obama was elected, not because of his credentials, because he's half white, understand, but because the color of his skin, which is the most ludicrous reason to vote for somebody that I can possibly think of. But to hate somebody for the same reason is also just as crazy. Let me share. Were you born and bred in the South?
Yeah, I've been here since '47.
Let me share this with you. You'll understand what I'm talking about. People here in the South, white and black folks in the South, understand something about folks just getting along and how to get along better than anyone else in this country, because we've come through a common experience. We get along better than people in Chicago and New York, white and blacks I'm talking about. White and black folks in the South actually get along better with one another if we're left alone than anyone else in the country. And that is because we have common interest. Food being the common denominator. Southerners eat the same foods. We believe God the same. We love the outdoors. We love sports. And we have this moral code as Southerners that we share regardless of the color of our skin. It's not like that in other regions of the country. But you let an agitator come in and bring in a racial issue that has nothing to do with your real culture that you come out of, that you were born into, and that can divide down racial lines. That seems to be so diabolical to me, Vernon. Listen, I want to appreciate your call. Thank you for your input. I'm CL. I'm going to be back in just a little bit.
Broadcasting from the Bayou State and all around the Gulf Coast and streaming nationwide. This is the C.L. Bryant Show.
Understanding the threat, the roots, and reach of Islamic terrorism will be the feature next Tuesday at Hurley Music Hall, Anderson Auditorium on the Centenary College campus. It's open, free to the public, free and open to the public. And Stephanie Jason, National Security Policy Surrogate for Donald Trump, will be there. And Admiral Charles Kubik, retired National Security Policy Advisor to Donald Trump, will be there on the Centenary campus from 6 to 8 p.m. this coming Tuesday, the 27th. You be there. Make it over there. This is information at this point in time in our nation's history, with the perilous times that we live in and the threat that face us being an Islamic threat. This is information. News you can use. This is information you can definitely use. Now, the phone call that I had just before I went to break was from Vernon. Vernon is an older gentleman, more mature gentleman, and he was saying something, folks, that I really hope you heard. And if you didn't, let me share it with you. He was saying for the first time in his life, and I have a feeling he's about 70 and maybe a little older because he's been here in this area since 1947. So he said for the first time that when he's talking to someone who's black, as friendly as they may be, as friendly as they may appear, for the first time in his life, he's wondering if they're just being that way.
We have a caller
on the surface, and really not liking him. Well, folks, that's what being judged by content of character is all about. You got to take people one person, not one color, but one person at a time. I'm telling you, the progressive liberals have done a good job of changing the narrative and fundamentally changing us. We got to be aware of it so that we can combat it. 320-5335, 320-5335. It's a number to call. Caller, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind?
Hey, CL, it's good to hear from you. This is Pete.
Hey, Pete, how are you, brother?
Not too bad. Listen, it's been a great show, but I called to apologize to you, my friend. Back about 6 months ago, I said Donald Trump was going to drop out. Sure as shooting, I knew he was going to drop out, and he has not done it. I'm going to hold my nose. I'm going to have to vote for him.
Yeah.
Just on the basis that it ain't Hillary.
You know what, Pete, and God love you for that, man, because that is the right thing to do. Sometimes we don't do things because they make us feel any better, but we do them because it's the right thing to do. And at this point in time in our nation's history, in our country's, the way our country is right now, the right thing to do for anybody who says they're conservative or even a Republican, vote Trump. That's just the way to go. Pete, thank you for the call, man.
Good to hear from you. You do good.
Thank you. Yeah, folks, for me, in fact, the show that the show that we do here, it doesn't necessarily win me popularity contest. I hope you know that. It does not. I do this show because it's the right thing to do. Not because this is the most popular thing, but it's the right thing to do, is to have a vehicle where there is a bridge for conversation. Whether you agree with me or not, that doesn't matter. But let's talk about these things, the things like Vernon was talking about. How you feel, because that young black man that I was talking about, he felt the same way about his boss. He had skills, but he still wondered if his boss really liked him because he's black. His boss not. He's wondering if his boss actually liked him. And that's what Vernon was saying. He was wondering if when he's talking to a black person, do they really like him? Folks, do you realize how twisted that can get? If you're talking to a person of a different color and you can't be sure if they're truly liking you, period, because you happen to have a different color of skin, that can get twisted quick. But that is the chaos. That is the design in the chaos that progressive liberals want to promote. What do you think Black Lives Matter is about? What do you think Hands Up, Don't Shoot is about? They have twisted a narrative. They have twisted it so that the thing is not about the truth, it's about the color. Do you understand me? That is not, none of that is about anything that's truthful. It's about the color. Oh my goodness. I tell you, when we look at just how jumbled and muddled this can be, then folks, I'm telling you that we have to restore conversation. We have to have the bridge to conversation. The C.L. Bryant Show offers that. I am CL. Be back in a minute. Yes, I was. Born in the USA. I'm an American, and any of you Americans, get out of my way. I'm an American, and any of you Americans, get out of my way. Get out of the way of us who will, if you're one of those who won't. I'm CL. This is the CL Bryant Show. And we'll be on Hannity Wednesday night. That show will be coming to you from Cleveland. You're hearing it right here first. If you're in the Arklatex area, most listened to show in the Arklatex as far as talk is concerned. Most listened to talk in the Arklatex. You're hearing it here first. Sean will probably start announcing this tonight on his show, but I got to jump on him because, hey, we're in a different time zone. He's been on our show a few times. He's a good friend of mine, a great guy. And in my opinion, the last true conservative left on Fox News. Yeah. And, I mean, he's not unabashed, unashamed to wave the conservative flag. That's Sean Hannity. Yeah. The last one left, in my opinion. That's my opinion on Fox News. Now, I'm going to be with him up in Cleveland as a special showing, a special show that's going to be done there in Cleveland. You'll see a lot of faces there that will be telling you why, be saying to you, be expressing to you why it is now necessary. It is now expedient, wise to vote for DJT as the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Now, folks, this is what I would like for radical, or this is what I'd like for people who are of the Muslim faith to do. I want them to do what I would do if a Christian, a Baptist, a Catholic, my roots run into the Catholic Church, even though I was raised a Baptist, but my family roots run into Catholicism here in Louisiana. Okay? If and I'll give Westboro Baptist Church as a prime example. Here's the prime example. Westboro Baptist Church. I will say anywhere at any time about those who call themselves Baptist and Christian that I do not agree with the tenets, the doctrines of anyone who would embrace the Westboro Baptist Church, and I denounce them. I denounce them because of the way they treat soldiers, dishonor dead soldiers, the way they dishonor human beings who happen to be of different persuasions and beliefs than they do. I don't think there's anything Christian about it. The way Westboro Baptist Church behave themselves, I denounce them. Now, I said that because most Christians that I know around the world, and I have preached literally throughout the world, most Christians that I know, if they know anything about Westboro Baptist Church and their radical beliefs, they would do the same thing that I just did. So, Muslim people, you who embrace your faith and you say, and to you, it is a religion of whatever it is to you, and you are not in agreement with this radicalization of your faith, of your religion. What is missing in this equation is you doing to that radical faction in your faith as I just did to the radical faction in mine. You have not done that. You have not come out and said, like I just said, that I will have nothing to do with them. I do not go along with them. I stand against anyone who calls themselves a Christian and behave themselves in the way that Westboro Baptist Church tries to represent my Christ. I stand against them. You Muslims who say that you are against radical Islam, you have not said that. You have not stood up. And I know why. I know why. It's because you're scared. You're scared that something, is going to happen to you if you do. And therein lies the reason and opens the door for me to say this. And this may be my old evangelical hat that I'm putting on right here, right now. I always have it on. But maybe that's maybe a good reason why you need to find Jesus. I'll be right back. I'm CL.
The sky is crying. Candies and the tears roll down the street. I've been looking for my baby.
I keep hearing from these news pundits that we need to get used to.
Dave, if you want a quick one.
That we need to get used to these terrorist actions happening on our street. I say absolutely not. No. We don't get used to that. We root it out and get rid of it. The same way that you root out crime. You get rid of it. We've been too lenient for too long with people who mean our neighborhoods and now our country harm. David, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling. What's on your mind, brother?
Good evening. I've been on the front lines with Westboro. I've been spit on with my brother's funerals.
Wow.
Guys I've known from Kuwait, in Iraq and all that stuff. And you get spit on. That's no way for a Christian to act.
Wow.
Standing in front of them, and then I get to walk up with the flag because we share it amongst brothers, and it goes back to the family.
Folks, this is what I'm talking about. Dave, I am so glad you called. Stay on the line with me. You see, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And Dave, that's exactly why I wanted to take the time to use that as an example, because I denounce that. As a Christian, I detest Westboro Baptist Church for what they have done to you and for what they represent and for the lie that they are spreading about them being followers of Christ. Dave, but now the radical Muslims, they need to do the same thing for these folks who say that they're Muslims of their sort. They need to denounce that, but they haven't done it. That's the problem. That's the problem.
They won't, because if they do, they're going to be beheaded.
Yeah.
If they get a chance.
That's the problem. And Dave, until they understand that one of the reasons why we want to profile and one of the reasons why we want to stop folks from coming in here from countries like that is because of that very thing. Man, I want to thank you for your service to our country, and God bless and keep you.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Yes, sir.
For what you do.
Yes, sir. Folks, Dave, thank you, man. God bless you for calling, because that was exactly what I was talking about. Well, listen, I want to thank God for bringing us to the close of yet another day, and I want to thank him for our men and women in uniform like Dave was, for defending our right to speak our mind. And until I'm able to talk to you again, I'm CL, and may God bless and keep you all.
Freedom alive, and to the families left behind, we'll stand by your side, and the bond